Greetings Exiles, it's BullShifter, back with another Path of Exile PS4 video. Today I'm not really going to be doing a tutorial, more or less just kind of an announcement video. So I was on the forums a bit earlier today and ended up reading a post stating that on the 20th, so a little less than a week away, we're actually going to get our first look at the upcoming league for Path of Exile, which means we probably, and this is just an estimate, but I would roughly guess we probably have about maybe 3 weeks left of Legion, possibly a little less. Usually within a couple weeks after announcing the new league, it tends to start. They've said that it'll be early September that the league will be starting. We'll probably get an exact date on the 20th when they make the announcement as to some of the information about the next league. So I thought I'd take this opportunity to go ahead and just kind of make a video of my top 5 wishes for the next league. Now, I know genies typically only grant 3 wishes, but I'm hoping that Grinding Gears Games will grant me 5. Now, obviously, some of these things will happen, potentially, others won't. Just as kind of a spoiler, only one of these is actually kind of like on the wish list for actual league mechanics. Another is a game feature, and the other 3 are more game function related. But without any further ado, I'll go ahead and jump into the list. Number 5 is fixing movement skills. So I know they've been working on this all throughout the Legion League. It has seen a little bit of improvement. However, you know, it does still desync every now and again. Leap Slam is a huge culprit of it. It's not all of the movement skills that seem to be struggling, but it's one of those things where it's like, if I have different skill options, they should all be viable options, especially when it comes to movement. So I don't know if this is a matter of just kind of fixing movement in general, or if there's just a couple of different skill gems that actually need fixing opposed to others, but that would be my 5th on my top 5 list. Would definitely be fixing those movement skills to kind of stop that desync and just make every movement skill viable, because, you know, variety is the spice of life, and it'd be nice to just have every option realistically available. Number 4, and this is something that may improve performance in the game as well. I'd like the ability to kind of downscale my own FX effects and also disable those of people I may be partying with. Now, what I mean by FX is essentially all the animations that happen from skills. I believe that some of the more elaborate FX are essentially hindering the game a bit and are kind of a cause of some of the lag and some of the desync issues that we do have. So just, you know, the option to downscale those or even turn a few of them off, especially to absolutely turn them off for other players that you're playing with. Like right now you see me using my Cyclone, and when I'm partying up with a group of people and all 4 of them are also using Cyclone, it's really difficult to see anything else that's on the screen. So it's not even necessarily just a performance enhancing thing, but kind of a quality of life change of just having a better idea of what's going on around me while I'm playing with other people. So it'd be nice to actually be able to turn their effects off on my screen and only have mine, and maybe, you know, add some vacancy to your own FX, so that way, you know, you can kind of tone those down, so like I don't have these giant red circles around me covering up potential enemies and my Cyclone. It could just make things a bit hard to see. They look cool, don't get me wrong, but just the ability to tone those down a little bit would be really nice, so that way it's just easier to see the enemies on the map, the loot on the map, and it just makes things a bit easier in general and feel a bit less cluttered. Number 3 on my list is actually somewhat related to number 4, and that's simply to just have more graphical options in the game. The ability to maybe use lower quality textures and to lower the quality of the shadows and the lighting, just because, you know, when you have graphical performance issues on your PC when you're playing a game, that's typically how you fix them, is you just lower the graphics quality and you get better game performance. However, if you look through the options on the PS4 version, and I'm sure this is the same on the Xbox One, we don't really have many options. Like, you can turn screen shake off, which I've noticed helps a bit, but, you know, there's nothing about anti-aliasing or turning down shadows or turning off shadows using low textured models, and that's all stuff that's present on the PC game. So It'd be really nice if we could have it on the console game as well, so that way, if we are struggling with performance, at least we can kind of tinker around with it and potentially make the gameplay experience better for ourselves. Now, I get the point that the game comes to console and there's kind of this fallacy that games need to look amazing and they need to have great graphics, but I'll tell you, I'd sacrifice good graphics for solid gameplay. And I know I'm not alone in that because of the fact that a lot of people nowadays have a real enjoyment for retro games, and indie games are bigger than they've ever been. Not everything needs to look like this, giant, hugely funded AAA title. It doesn't have to look, as good as Battlefield and Call of Duty and Madden and like all those giant titles that come from these huge game developers that have the money to dump into those games while making sure that they perform well at the same time. I have no problem with downscaling my graphics a little bit if it's going to make the game perform better. I'm totally fine with that, and it's just as an option. Now, if you want to leave the game in the highest quality for your default, just to kind of show everyone how nice the game can look, I'm all for that. And honestly, it's probably not that bad to start those first few acts with your graphics all the way up, because nothing is really going on the screen that's going to cause you to lag up or to desync or to have, any of those graphical issues early on. It tends to kind of come with mapping. Now, that may be different for some people, but from my own personal experience, it seems like a lot of those graphics issues don't start until you start seeing higher density mobs on the screen. So it would be nice to be able to kind of adjust my different graphical options later on in the game, so that way I can get a better performance and just an overall better experience from the game itself. So number 2 and number 1 are, as I mentioned, an actual game feature, one that I would hope would be permanent, and the other as kind of an overall outline of what I'm kind of hoping the next league will end up following. I'm not sure why this Azurite's following me around. Anyways, so number 2 is a game feature that seems like it's potentially been teased with a couple of stash spaces that have accidentally made their way on the shop, and I'm really hoping it's making its way to console, and that would be guilds. I really hope that we get guilds in the game. It'd be really, really awesome to not have to, go through all the hoopla of having people on your friends list or in a PlayStation 4 community or as a follower in order to be able to join games with one another. It'd be really awesome if we had guilds and guild challenges and, guild hideouts and guild stashes and just all this interactive stuff for a game that's, supposed to be an online multiplayer experience. It would kind of add more of that MMO feel to it when, the game already has a very, complicated leveling and skill system like a lot of MMOs do. I would argue has more complicated systems than some MMOs do. So to be able to have that guild and be able to chat with others through there and send messages and maybe have guild challenges and guild rewards and things of that nature, I think would add a lot to the game. It would give it more of an online feel, because I feel like right now a lot of people just play this game solo, and I think it's a lot more fun to play with people, and creating guilds would definitely push that experience, and I think it would just make that experience even better. So with that said, at number 1, and this is kind of my hope for what we're going to see out of the next league, I'd like to see something similar to raids. And if we had guilds, that would be really awesome because of the fact that we could take our guilds into these raids. It seems like the last couple leagues' mechanics have more focused on things that are not necessarily like maps, but more of, high density mob areas where, in Legion we spawned a bunch of enemies. With Synthesis, we, had little different kind of map-esque pieces that we placed together and ran through small mobs. What I would like to see, and what I think would be really, really awesome, would be just multi-tiered raids. And they can work just like maps, to where, we run through some small mobs of enemies. That's totally fine. That's pretty standard. And then at the end, there's a boss or a couple bosses with like some interesting mechanics that you have to use in order to get past and then start the next level of the raid, which, could simply be a stairway or, possibly an extended map on top of the map that you're already running, to where at the end of that you face another, slightly more difficult boss, and you progress through until you fight, something gigantic, even something similar to like the Kitava boss fight at the end of the game. Just something large and challenging that would kind of encourage people to group up together and take on this huge raid boss together as a group, and not necessarily, run all these league mechanics solo. I feel like that would be a really great addition to the game, and that it would be a lot of fun. I feel like having guilds added to the game and then having a raid mechanic for the league, it would kind of tie all of that together all at once. Now, I know that may not necessarily be coming with this upcoming league. Obviously, whatever's coming with this league has already been decided, and, the suggestions of a single YouTuber definitely aren't going to change the developers' thoughts on what they want to do in the future. I just kind of wanted to throw out my top 5 hopes and wishes for the upcoming league. If we see any of these, honestly, I will be more than happy. I just hope that the next league, we see a bit better performance. I admittedly have seen better performance towards the end of this league, which is encouraging, and I hope that that continues. And I just hope we have some really fun league mechanics for the upcoming league, that performance continues to be worked on. Like I said, some of those graphical options would be fantastic, and I think would help the game perform a lot better in general. And as I mentioned, the leagues and the potential raids, I feel like those would be really, really cool features that would really draw a lot of people into the game. A lot of people that I've talked to started playing this game with friends. Their friends got frustrated and kind of stopped playing, and I feel like raids and guilds would be a great way to bring a lot of those people back, and it would serve for a really great platform to teach people the mechanics of the game and help people get better. And hopefully these raids would have some awesome loot in them as well. So that's my thoughts on my top 5 wishes. Let me know down in the comments section, like, what do you guys want to see out of the next league? What are you hoping for? We're less than a week away from finding out. I'm really excited about what the next league may be. Despite the performance issues of Legion, Legion was mechanically, on paper, a really great idea. Overhauling the melee mechanics was a really great idea. Like, there were a lot of great ideas that just unfortunately on console, due to performance issues, didn't quite manifest in the way that they should have. However, if they would have been executed a bit more smoothly, I feel like this would have been a grade A league. So I feel like we've seen an improvement in the mechanics of each league, and hopefully performance will end up following that. So again, guys, let me know what you think in the comments section. I look forward to hearing what you have to say. I should be online streaming tonight, so hopefully we can, have a little bit of conversation during the stream. So hope you enjoyed this video. Feel free to leave your thoughts, hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, so that way you can catch up on any future videos, or look through my past tutorial videos if there's anything on the game that you're still currently wondering about. So thanks again for watching. I greatly, greatly appreciate everyone who watches my videos. You guys are awesome, and I can't thank you enough. So thanks again, and until next time, may the RNG be with you, always.